Finally, I can eat. Now, although that was how I initially felt when I first began intermittent fasting, I want to let you know that for the rest of the year and more, the experience was totally different. And that's what I want to share with you today, my 1.5 year experience with intermittent fasting.
Hey babe, happy 1 year. I'm 27.
Before I go into details of my over 1 year experience with intermittent fasting, because I know that intermittent fasting is relatively new and there aren't that many sources out there talking about the long-term impacts. I'll also be going over some big misconceptions people have about intermittent fasting that lead to disappointing results. So stay tuned till the end if you don't want to make the same mistakes. Okay, so I understand that not everyone has an exact, accurate understanding of what intermittent fasting is. So feel free to skip the next part if you already know the mechanism behind intermittent fasting by heart. To start off, intermittent fasting is not a diet. It has nothing to do with calorie restriction and does not restrict you from eating any food, but there are also a lot of misconceptions of what to eat for best results, so I'll be going over that later as well.
But as a perfect segue to today's sponsor, Built Bar, I personally like to keep my protein intake high when I'm on intermittent fasting. Built Bar is both a delicious chocolatey treat and also a great source of protein. Each bar has 17 to 19 grams of protein with low sugar and are around 130 calories, making them both a great dessert and a delicious protein source. Microwave that bar for 10 to 15 seconds and it will blow your mind how this warm fudgy brownie is packed with protein.
A brief crash course on intermittent fasting.
Listen up, kids.
It doesn't specify which foods you should eat, but rather when you should eat them. It's often associated with weight loss in relation to two main hormones. Human growth hormone, HGH, which could increase as much as 5-fold. This has benefits for fat loss and muscle gain. And our old friend, insulin. During intermittent fasting, the periods that you are not eating gives the body time to lower insulin levels, which reverses the fat storing process. When insulin level drops, the process goes in reverse and you lose fat. Because of these changes in hormones, short-term fasting may increase your metabolic rate by 3.6 up to 14%. This, of course, is not guaranteed. I will go over later the common misconceptions that lead to disappointing results from intermittent fasting. Okay, so I began my intermittent fasting journey in January 2020, so it's been a little while. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It was hard the first 2 weeks. But I think what helped me get through those weeks was that I just started my full-time job at Big Four Public Accounting, and the busyness made it possible for me to temporarily forget about food or hunger until lunch break at 12 p.m. So my eating window has been at 12 p.m. pretty much from the start. I did vlog the first 10 days ever of me trying intermittent fasting, so if you're interested, feel free to check that out. Initially, the first few days, I had to eat a granola bar or something at 10 or 11 because my stomach was just growling. But trust me, it's just a process, and once you get over it, it's going to be like second nature. Anyways, my fasting schedule started from 16-8, meaning I fast for 16 hours and eat for 8 hours. Then I gradually changed that into 18-6, meaning I fast for 18 hours and eat for 6 hours. I start eating at 12 p.m. and stop eating around 6 p.m. every day. All made possible thanks to the remote working during the pandemic, because we all know that nobody eats by 6 at a Big Four firm. Alright, let's go over what went well for me. Number 1, saved time. I would say that intermittent fasting worked super well with my schedule. That saved extra 20 to 40 minute breakfast time is used in more sleep or morning workouts. I honestly find it easier to concentrate in the mornings because my blood isn't all flowing to my digestive tract trying to break down my breakfast, which is awesome. And don't get me wrong, I love breakfast and it's my favorite meal of the day. But breakfast literally just means the first meal you eat to break your fast. Get it? Breakfast, break fast. So technically my daily brunch is still my breakfast and I don't miss out on any of the breakfast foods. Second, I no longer felt hungry during my fasting window, which helped reduce snacking. Once I got over that first 1 to 2 weeks of feeling hungry in the morning, I don't think about eating or food at all before my eating window, which starts at 12 p.m. And the science behind this has to do with two hormones, ghrelin, aka the hunger hormone, and leptin, aka the satiety hormone. Although quite counterintuitive, intermittent fasting doesn't make you hungry more. Data have shown intermittent fasting can decrease ghrelin and increase leptin, hence making you feel full faster and hungry less often, which could translate into fewer calories consumed. As a result, weight loss. I personally eat just as much, but I do like how I don't constantly feel like I have to snack because every time I eat, I make sure to eat a good, satisfying meal instead of eating multiple meals that each don't satisfy me. Third, maintenance of weight and physique. Before thinking that intermittent fasting is some magical remedy that will help you lose weight, lose fat, get abs, it's not. But it will definitely act as an auxiliary catalyst for all the healthy changes you're making in your life. From my experience, when I did resistance training paired with intermittent fasting, my body fat percentage dropped the most, and of course, the weight dropped with it. I'd like to say that intermittent fasting helped me maintain my weight and physique over the past 1.5 years for the following reasons. First, my insulin levels remain low for longer. Second, the shortened eating period encourages me to eat less frequently but fully each time, so less insulin spikes. Third, I simply had more time in the morning to work out. And I know this is different for everyone, but I simply don't feel hungry and still feel energized when I work out on an empty stomach. Now let's go over what didn't go so well. First things first, scheduling. Brunch and lunch are not that hard to schedule. As someone who usually stops eating at 6 p.m., I just hate it when a dinner gets scheduled past that or it lasts so long all the way into the night. Of course, sometimes I feel like I'm totally missing out on things because when an event starts at like 7 or 8, the first thing I think about is that's way past my eating window. And when I do break my fasting schedule, the next day I don't feel hungry even at my eating window, which messes everything up. So I try my best to avoid that. But it's not the end of the world to break your intermittent fasting schedule. It happened when I traveled or when life sometimes just happens. Just let yourself reset for a day or two and it will be pretty easy to go back to your window, like way easier than the first time you tried to adopt intermittent fasting. The second thing that didn't go so well is that intermittent fasting is controversial. My whole family, and I mean my whole family, extended family included, tries to convince me that this whole thing is a terrible idea, that not eating breakfast is terrible, and that my gallbladder will burst someday. Knock on wood. This is wood. And I will basically die because of intermittent fasting.
Thanks for all the blessing.
Yes, it's controversial because there aren't enough human experiment data available to show the long-term health impacts in humans because intermittent fasting has only been around for not that long. And no, unfortunately, it is not for everyone. But for me, I'm willing to be responsible for this lifestyle decision I made for myself. From all the research, both pro and against intermittent fasting, I read, and you should too, before you commit. Lastly, I want to go over some misconceptions that lead to disappointing results. First, intermittent fasting will make it okay to eat unhealthy. No, intermittent fasting is a booster to your healthy lifestyle. It's like saying you don't need to sleep and will grow taller by drinking 12 gallons of milk every day. You still need to eat well to feel well. Second, intermittent fasting will help me lose weight even if I eat a lot. This is actually why intermittent fasting doesn't work for a lot of people. They think they can just eat and eat as long as they fast. Well, intermittent fasting will help you burn more fat by lowering your insulin level during your fasting window, but it's not going to boost your metabolism by 10 times. I would just eat however much I used to eat before I started intermittent fasting. Third, intermittent fasting will get me abs and a toned body without exercising. Intermittent fasting might help your abs become more defined through facilitating the fat burning, but you gotta have abs in the first place. Fat and muscles are two different things. You won't get muscles just from fasting, but your muscles and physique will be more toned as fasting helps burn the fat on top of it. And the fourth misconception is that intermittent fasting is for everyone. Unfortunately, no. Although theoretically, as long as you don't overly restrict your calories when you're fasting, intermittent fasting shouldn't make you more hungry or increase your appetite. But as humans, we are also different and complicated. For those people who already have a tendency to binge eat or have an eating disorder, it might be safe to first consult a health professional before making this lifestyle change. Hope this video is helpful for you. If it was, don't forget to like and subscribe for more helpful related videos. See you next week.
This is the end.